T.I.'s son, King Harris, has been arrested after not appearing in court and some other things connected.
I'm trying to coddle him for. Let the man walk off, have some time to himself, sit down, soak it up, and come up with what he need to do.
Yeah, so him being arrested isn't really like the shocker. It's him coming out and his, I guess, reaction to it, right? Because everybody's saying, King, you grew up privileged, bro. Why are you going down this path? Now he's talking about F the police, F12. So, you know.
The first message hit like a siren. King Harris got jumped. No buildup. No soft landing. One line in a group chat. Then 10 more. Then a flood. Screens lit up with he's in bad shape. It happened during count. Nobody had the full story, but everyone had a version. And every version felt worse than the last.
Steve Sadar reached out to me looking to make a deal on behalf of T.I. and Tiny. And I told Steve Sadar that my clients want justice. So if the deal involves Tiny and T.I. turning themselves in and admitting to the crime that they've committed, then fine, we got a deal. But if it does not, then I would prefer to have the investigators do their work and to bring criminal charges against Tiny and T.I.
The last name made it bigger. The headlines always do. But the first minutes were the messiest. Before we dive deeper, smash like and hit subscribe. It keeps this investigation moving and puts the facts in your feed first. They say it started in a narrow corridor that smells like bleach and metal. King was supposed to walk from one block to another. Simple. 10 steps past the gate, voices rose behind him. He didn't turn. He'd learned that rule early. Don't spin at every whisper.
So the dynamics here are interesting, but I can't judge how the parenting has gone, because everything that we've seen has been stuff that many of us would have said or similar if we saw our children do this. But I will say this. A lot of what's happening is because it's in the public. Like most children don't have to do this in the public.
3 more steps, a boot squeaked. The hallway swallowed the sound. Then everything crashed at once. A shoulder into the ribs. An elbow across the jaw. The cold slam of a wall stealing the air from his lungs. A flurry that didn't feel like a fight. It felt like a decision. This wasn't a scuffle. It was an answer to a question nobody asked out loud. Someone hissed, keep moving. Someone else spat, say less. And that was only the opening move. Every legend has a foggy center. Here, it's the 10 seconds where nobody's version matches.
I wouldn't have been able to do that if it wasn't for Family Hustle.
Right.
That does come with some, it's some adversity. Mm-hmm. It's some adversity to come with that. People get in your bed.
One story says he tried to push back. Another says he froze because he recognized a face. A third insists he said nothing and braced for the hit. Silence has a shape, and that hallway learned it. Metal rattled.
And you can, kind of woo-saw yourself outside of the public opinion.
A buzzer went off somewhere distant. A shoe slid. A fist landed. The whole block inhaled at once and held it. Then a shout. Then 2. The kind that sound less like help and more like permission. And once the noise starts, it never really stops. You can stack reasons like bricks. Each one looks solid until you press. Some said it was jealousy, money, music, famous parents. Others said it was the opposite. A tax for borrowing danger you didn't earn. There was talk about a debt. About a promise that didn't keep. About a small comment that landed like a big disrespect.
I graduated. That's the only good thing they posted of me going viral. I'm not on the media's good side. I don't know why, but it ain't.
None of it was proven. All of it made sense. That's the trick with stories like this. You don't need facts when the feeling lines up. A last name can be a badge. Or bait. He learned which one it was the hard way. But rumors never walk alone. They bring receipts, real or not.
I really admire his dedication and commitment to the craft. Because, I kind of told him, what was wrong about it. Making mistakes. I ain't had no daddy who would pull up and get on my ass anytime. Things I did, you can't get away with.
I know that.
Man, damn. Yeah, that's I ain't see that one coming. You
Really?
Know what I mean? Nah, I didn't.
Word traveled faster than the responders. A door popped. A shadow ran. Somebody yelled about cameras. Somebody else laughed about blind spots. Sirens inside the building stuttered to life. King slid to the floor. Knees, shoulder, back. He tasted metal. He felt heat everywhere and cold nowhere. When they finally pulled him up, he tried to stand on habit, not strength. Eyes diluted the light. Corrections boots formed a fence around him, faces blurred by the speed of authority. Every second got logged in the minds of people who would retell it 1,000 ways. He didn't cry out. Not then. The body always asks for pride first and pain later. And outside, the internet was already sprinting. The first post hit before the first bandage. Screenshots with red circles. Phrases like breaking, exclusive, insider. DMs turning into threads, turning into thumbnails. Friends texted friends who texted strangers. Everyone knew someone who knew someone. The captions got sharper. Ambushed. Left in bad shape. Moved to medical. The algorithm liked certainty, so the words lost their question marks. The comments didn't. Prayers. He asked for it. This is the system's fault. This is on him. Where are the parents? It's a strange thing, watching people who've never met you write your destiny in real time. Meanwhile, the phone calls started in the places that mattered. Lawyers called administrators. Administrators called supervisors. Supervisors called officers who hadn't even clocked out yet. The message was simple: what happened? The answers were not. One voice said it was a disturbance between inmates. Another said it was a brief altercation. A third said there was nothing out of the ordinary. When every version sounds designed, you listen for what's missing. No one said who. No one said why. No one said how long. That's when families stop asking and start demanding. And the past came roaring back like it never left. The internet doesn't move in straight lines. It loops. By nightfall, old footage had new life. The argument at the game. The rants. The posture. The pride. Every clip got clipped again and pushed into a storyline that was already writing itself. A kid born into spotlight choosing a darker corner. The narrative is easy to sell. Privilege versus persona. Comfort versus credibility. It feels precise even when it's paper thin. He wasn't just a person anymore. He was a template for a million opinions. And opinions have a way of sounding like verdicts. They say the fluorescent lights in medical don't blink. They hum. They fill the air like a warning that never ends. He lay there counting the panels in the ceiling and measuring the distance between breaths. The nurse's voice was steady. The questions were standard. Name, pain, dizzy, allergies. The usual things that make you feel like you're being rebuilt from the outside in. A cuff tightened. A pulse ticked loud enough to be embarrassing. The room smelled like alcohol wipes and the ghost of smoke from a jacket someone never should have lit. A reminder, even the quiet places carry echoes. He asked for water. He got a small cup of nothing. The rules win, even when you need them to bend. Back on the block, the threat didn't care about medical charts. People talk about the first hit. They forget the shadow of the second. After any high-profile scuffle, the danger rarely ends at the bed rail. Whispers said he'd be moved. A few said protective housing. Others said nothing would change because nothing ever changes. He knew one thing. Reputation is a currency with odd exchange rates. Too tough and you invite challenges. Too quiet and you invite scavengers. The middle ground is small and it shrinks when your last name fills rooms you've never walked into. He stared at the wall and counted breath for breath. Sometimes survival is just boring math. But math doesn't trend. Drama does. The call you want is the one that says, we can fix this. The calls you get say, we'll look into it. Words like policy and procedures start stacking around you like crates. People point to memos. They quote guidelines. They promise a review, which sounds active but moves like wet cement. None of it stops a fist. None of it changes a hallway. Behind the scenes, leverage gets unboxed and placed neatly on the table. Favors remembered. Names spoken softly. The kind that make other names sit up straighter. Somebody mentions a transfer. Somebody else says that requires a committee. The committee requires a form. The form requires a signature from a person who isn't here today. The clock keeps chewing minutes like they're free. Meanwhile, the feeds don't wait for paperwork. Hashtags march forward. Threads pretend to be transcripts. And every no comment looks like a confession in subtitles. Power doesn't always stop pain. Sometimes it just narrates it. Clean fonts, calm voices, and a calendar attached. Narration gets louder when the facts stay quiet. By morning, 5 became 7. 2 had a stash gone wrong. One swore a guard looked away on purpose. Another added a camera that blinked off right on cue. In one retelling, there were warnings the day before. In another, it was a complete blindside. Every update felt like a patch on a jersey. New colors, same team, certainty. The details never matched. The tone did. He got handled. He got taught a lesson. He walked into the wrong corner. The internet had stopped asking if. It was sculpting how. And how is much more fun to debate because it lets everyone play director. He didn't argue with any of it. You don't debate a storm, you brace and count. And soon, the weather leaked past the walls. You can hate the spotlight until you need it. Then you hope it points the right way. The roles fell into place without being assigned. One person pressed the facility for a paper trail, incident logs, medical notes, transport slips. Another worked the phones for quiet influence. Someone else drafted a sentence meant to calm the crowd without handing it a new toy. They agreed on the only point that mattered. He's ours. Everything else, reputation, headlines, the brand people love to love or hate, dropped 2 floors. They push for movement, new tier, new schedule, fewer windows to trouble. Every will evaluate felt like a stall. Every hour sounded like a rumor with a stopwatch. When trust breaks, time gets heavy. There's always a middle stretch nobody uploads. Waiting is a desert. Pain dulls into a low electricity that never quite shuts off. A tray arrives, something beige, something green, something nobody eats unless they have to. He breaks bread along the seam and watches a crumb roll to the edge like it's planning an escape. 2 doors down, a cough threatens to become a conversation, but dies between tiles. The fluorescent hum has a rhythm if you let it. 8 count breaths, 6 count exhales, keep the hand still. He thinks about the clips that painted him as bulletproof. Bulletproof is a costume. It tears easy under fluorescent lights. He practices being boring on purpose. Survival is unglamorous. Boredom doesn't trend. It heals slowly. You can label this however you need. Bad luck, setup, test, karma, conspiracy. Labels are cheap. Choices aren't. He draws a short list on the inside of his skull. What he'll own. What he'll never hand strangers to wear like trophies. What he'll change quietly so it doesn't look like a press release. The verbs are small. Listen, pace, pause, pay. Small verbs change big rooms if you repeat them long enough. Somewhere down the block, a door slams with the finality of a judge's gavel. He decides he won't be a period. Maybe a comma. Maybe a new sentence. But every story meets a reveal. Here's the line no thumbnail wants. None of this has been officially confirmed. No public incident report you can read. No named spokesperson on record. No mainstream outlet showing documents with dates and signatures. The tale you just walked through. Hallway. Hits. Medical wing. Second wave. This is the rumor rendered in high definition, told the way the internet prefers it. Tight, tense, cinematic. It feels real because it could be. It reads clean because 1,000 channels smooth the edges. But could is not is. And that gap is the only thing that separates storytelling from truth. Mind the gap. It's bigger than it looks. Yes, you were just inside the version the timeline keeps pushing. King Harris attacked in jail. Told like it's settled. Packaged for engagement. Engineered to keep your eyes from blinking. Here's the pivot. Until verifiable sources put ink on paper, documents, on-record statements, incident numbers, this remains a rumor. Loud. Sticky. Useful for anyone farming attention. But still a rumor. Facts are plain. Rumors are pretty. One will be there when you wake up. Pick which one you trust before the next headline tells you for you. And that brings us to the only responsible ending. If an attack happened, proof leaves footprints, logs, filings, transfers, names that aren't blurred out. If it didn't, the rumor will still earn rent in people's memories because it was told well. That's the modern bargain. Narrative outruns news. And when your last name is already a microphone, speed is both blessing and curse. Believe receipts. Question performances. Care about the person more than the plot. A story can feel true and still not be truth. Hold that thought the next time your screen shouts breaking. Who do you think's going to be the next person in the limelight? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to get the latest celebrity news and updates. I'll see y'all on the next one.